Now at 7 o'clock, the state of Oregon's request to keep the National Guard from deploying to Portland goes before a federal judge this morning. We're going to preview today's hearing coming up in a live report. Plus.
And Portland police announced multiple arrests outside the ICE facility that happened Thursday night. We'll break down the details of that incident coming up.
I actually sent him an email with the unabashedly cringy subject line, "Who tells your story?"
The biography of Lin Manuel Miranda, how a teacher at Portland State University was able to convince the actor, singer, and director to let him write his first biography. Sunrise streaming live at 7 starts right now. Good morning, and thank you for joining us live at 7 o'clock. I'm China Green.
And I'm Drew Carney. It's a Friday morning. We are, at the very least, mildly excited about the weekend. Chris, okay, Rod's very excited. I stand corrected. So, Rod, let's talk about the forecast today.
We do have ourselves a fog advisory this morning. You don't talk much about fog in the summer months, but now it's fall and it is becoming fog season. So, KGW impact alert up through about 10 o'clock this morning for low visibility. So if you're traveling, slow down, extra space, especially when you notice you're getting in to these dense fog pockets. The map has seen no fog all morning over in Troutdale. 10-mile visibility is considered perfect, but where it's shaded in white, this is where it's been foggy consistently, and that's coming in from the west side. Numbers are improved slightly. Hillsborough now saying at the airport a half a mile visibility. Salem has improved up to 4 miles visibility, so there's some good news there. Here's the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club Aloha. Clearly that's really foggy all the way down to the grass. And notice I-5, that's good visibility, but up in the West Hills, you see the fog is definitely over the hills and down into the cityscape. We're at 53 degrees, the impact alert up through 10 a.m. Otherwise, turns out to be a nice day, Chris. Partly cloudy skies coming, afternoon temps in the 60s. Back to you.
Looking forward to that, Rod. All right, let's get you out the door live. Look at the trip at the Interstate Bridge. Usually, Monday through Thursday, this can be pretty stacked up, but Friday mornings are usually a little lighter with the traffic volume, and this is holding true to form there on that side of town. We'll switch gears and take you over to the Vista Ridge Tunnel. A little bit of brake tapping, of course, for that eastbound commute. The right lane going to I-405 south, the left lane going to I-405 north. So far, the drive is rolling along okay out there. 14 minutes right now on the I-5 commute to get you in from Main Street to the Fremont Bridge. Drew, China.
All right, thank you, Chris. Let's get back to our top story this morning. It's the same top story we've had all week, the expected deployment of the National Guard to Portland. We have team covers this morning, including Chloe Johnson, breaking down the arrest that happened just last night outside the South Waterfront ICE facility.
But first, we want to go live to Thomas Schultz outside the Oregon Department of Justice. We are just a few hours away from a hearing where the state of Oregon will ask to pause the deployment. So, Thomas, what else do we know?
Well, yeah, guys, just hours before that hearing is set to begin here at 10 o'clock this morning, we learned that a new judge will hear the case. This comes after the feds asked that Judge Michael Simon recuse himself to avoid the appearance of partiality. Simon is married to Oregon Democratic Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici. On Saturday, Bonamici spoke out against President Trump's deployment of 200 Oregon National Guard into federal service for 60 days.
This is a gross abuse of power by the president. He does not have the authority to send military troops to a city.
Lewis and Clark law professor Tung Yin says judges often recuse themselves if there's an obvious conflict of interest. That's something like stock ownership or a close relationship to a party involved. But he says asking a judge to step off a case can be a slippery slope.
Kind of dangerous. You know the saying, you come at the king, you better not miss. If you file a recusal motion, you're basically laying out to the judge the idea that I don't think you can be fair.
Yesterday afternoon, the case was reassigned to Judge Karen Immergitt, who is a Trump appointee after serving in Multnomah County Circuit Court for 10 years. There's still a lot we don't know about this case. We don't know what the judge will decide or when she may make a decision. That could come today at the hearing. It could come later today once the hearing wraps up. It could also come in the following days. It's really up to the judge's discretion. Guys?
All right, Thomas Schultz live for us there this morning in downtown Portland. While we wait for the outcome of that hearing, we're also tracking the nightly protests happening outside Portland's ICE facility. Last night's protest led to 3 arrests.
An apparent agitator appeared to get in the faces of some of the demonstrators, which a KGW crew witnessed. But overnight, Portland police announced the arrest of 49-year-old Angela Davis of Vernonia, 43-year-old Sun Mi Yi of Portland, and 27-year-old Nicholas Sorter of Washington, D.C. on disorderly conduct charges. Sorter is a conservative influencer with more than 1.2 million followers on X. Our crew saw law enforcement officers officials detaining 3 people Thursday night after an apparent altercation happening after a small group of people were peacefully protesting outside the facility. That's when an apparent agitator appeared to get in the faces of some of those demonstrators, exchanging words. Law enforcement officers were then seen arresting 3 people. Then, while federal officers pushed back the crowd to allow several vehicles to exit the facility, KGW was told one person was sprayed in the eyes with mace. As for what happens next and what, if any, charges those individuals face is still unclear. KGW has found that in many cases, those taken into federal custody aren't formally charged. So people on the scene might hear of an arrest in the moment, but never see it go to the courtroom. Some protesters say that they came to counter the narrative.
The idea that this is even national news is already kind of silly. The idea that it's treated as a national threat is absolutely bonkers crazy.
The Portland Police Bureau posted on X that it does not engage in immigration enforcement, but is still responsible for maintaining public safety and enforcing state laws.
Washington County detectives, meanwhile, have identified the human remains that were found in the Tualatin River this summer. A kayaker discovered body parts near Rood Bridge Park on August 8th. And more were found the very next day. Investigators confirmed they were the remains of 34-year-old Ezequiel Avila Ruiz, who was last seen in Hillsborough back on July 31st. Detectives believe he was the victim of a homicide and are now asking anyone with information to come forward.
A traffic control worker is in the hospital with serious injuries this morning after they were hit by a vehicle on I-84. Authorities say the person, potentially a flagger, was struck around 9 o'clock last night. Police say the driver crashed into a barrier. They remained at the scene and are cooperating.
The Washington County Sheriff's Office is now experimenting with using artificial intelligence to sort through body cam video and also to draft police reports. The Sheriff's Office says the 60-day pilot program uses Draft One software to transcribe body cam video into reports for cases that include DUIs, thefts, and trespassing. Officials say it could cut report writing time by more than an hour.
One of the deputies I talked to yesterday said it took him about 15 to 20 minutes for a report that would typically take him about an hour and a half.
Deputies still have to review and correct each report, making sure that it's factual because the system purposely builds in errors to force human checks. The Sheriff's Office will decide after the pilot whether to keep using this tool. All right, big race here in Portland this weekend. We're talking about the Portland Marathon, which takes over city streets on Sunday. Resident runner Chris McGinnis, he's in here today with a look at this year's course and the race's traffic impacts.
3, 2, 1.
On Sunday, an estimated 12,000 runners will hit the streets for the annual Portland Marathon.
The running community in Portland is so amazing. There's so much support, welcoming people of all abilities and all paces.
For Seth Buckwalter, who leads a local run club, the race is about setting goals, no matter the distance.
The most exciting thing about Sunday is having 12,000 people down in the waterfront registering. They're showing up, they're trying to finish, and they're trying to break PRs.
As always, the marathon course crosses the Broadway, Burnside, and Selwood bridges. TriMet says 20 bus routes will have slight detours, and the race also crosses the Max line at 4 locations, meaning some riders could see some slight delays from 5 a.m. until the race wraps up. This year's marathon also unfolds with Portland in the national spotlight after the president's decision to send National Guard troops into the city.
You know, I think there's a lot of talk surrounding Portland. It's coming back. We're having a really great, we're feeling very safe.
I'm just really hoping that we end this marathon with everyone just being safe, feeling good, and, you know, everyone having a great time.
Still, runners say focus is on community and celebration.
It's really a day for celebration, what people have looked up to all this time.
So Sunday, I am running the Portland Full Marathon, and I'm pretty stoked about it.
So the event includes a half marathon, a 10K, and a kids fun run. They all start and finish in downtown. It loops through dozens of Portland neighborhoods. It crosses 3 Willamette River bridges, the most impactful A full closure of the Broadway Bridge from 6:30 to 9. The westbound lane on the Selwood Bridge closed 6:30 to 10:45. And the ramp from Water Avenue to the Hawthorne Bridge will also be closed from 7:30 to 1:30. Guys, back to you.
Chris, thank you. All right, we're going to head over to Rod Hill to take a look at weather. I think when we all went into work this morning, we had a fog problem, but is that still the case?
Yeah, we have the impact alert up until 10 o'clock this morning. By 10 o'clock, I think we will see improving visibility, meaning the fog will start to lift and break up. I just want to show you the big picture real quick. The rain pretty much has moved over into Idaho, so the only issue we're dealing with here in the valley is fog. A moment to enjoy some beauty, though. This is one of our Timberline cameras up above the low clouds and the fog, the clear blue skies, the beautiful orange colors, and that's Mount Jefferson sticking up. So really pretty look. Up at the lodge, it's 38 degrees this morning. Winds are calm. Now let's talk about the fog. This is Southwest Washington, the springs at the waterfront in Vancouver. And here are folks on the I-5 bridge. The fog absolutely noticeable. And look, it gets worse as you make your way across the river into Portland. Now here's downtown Portland, and this is not bad actually. Good visibility on I-5. I can look out my window next to Lincoln High School, and the visibility at ground level is okay. The fog, though, is bad up in the West Hills and certainly nipping along the downtown cityscape. Temperatures 40s and 50s out the door, 49 Hillsborough, 52 in Gresham. The fog has been the worst all morning over on the west side, west of I-5. Haven't had any fog reported out in Troutdale, for example. Salem, fog and 49 degrees. Again, we have the impact alert up until 10 o'clock this morning, and then the fog gets out of here. It'll be a partly cloudy afternoon. 61 in Tillamook, 60s up and down I-5, 60s most of the state. The only chance spot of any measurable rainfall at all today in the form of showers would be southeastern Oregon. So once the fog clears, we'll lift the impact alert. A nice afternoon, a nice evening. Clouds tonight and tomorrow could lead to traces of rain. Partial clearing later in the day on Saturday. A clear sky, 73 degrees Sunday. Sounds great for the marathon. Here's Chris McGinnis.
Yeah, that will be awesome for the marathon on Sunday. All right, not awesome right now. The southbound I-5 drive through North Portland. Not that that's all that unusual, but this is the slowest stretch of freeway I could find right now up near Lombard. Our speed sensor showing about 15 miles an hour. Your trip in from Clark County, 13 minutes from Main Street to the Fremont Bridge. Here's a live look at SR 14. A little bit of brake tapping there, but again, not too bad. We'll switch gears real quick. Door number 3, I believe, is going to take us over to the I-5, I-84 interchange. So there you can see some light fog. The headlights in this shot, that's the drive from I-5 northbound onto eastbound 84. Traffic still seems like it's rolling along okay there. And checking out some of the other drive times. Again, we could do a lot worse than this on a Friday morning. So far, the freeways are in pretty good shape. China?
Thank you, Chris.
I actually sent him an email with the unabashedly cringy subject line, "Who tells your story?"
That's how a teacher at Portland State University became the author of Lin Manuel Miranda's first biography. Coming up in 2 minutes, a look at his story when Sunrise Streaming Live at 7 continues.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
A Portland State professor has just released his first book focusing on one of Broadway's biggest stars and playwrights.
I have to spit out a few big names here. The first is KGW's Devin Haskins.
There you go.
He sat down with Daniel Pollock-Pelsner and was able to find out how he was able to authorize the first biography of Lin Manuel Miranda.
Daniel Pollock-Pelsner is a visiting scholar of English at Portland State University, teaching various classes on Shakespeare and the theater arts.
I'm a teacher, and I really believe in, what we call as educators a growth mindset. Not I'm good at this, I'm bad at this, but I can learn how to do this.
He took that mindset and did something he'd never done before. Wrote his first biography. It's also the first authorized biography of Lin Manuel Miranda.
He's exactly the person that you think he is if you've seen him on stage or heard him on late night.
Lin Manuel Miranda is an actor, singer, director, and a playwright, most well known for writing Tony Award-winning Broadway hits like In the Heights and Hamilton. Pollock-Pelsner covered Miranda multiple times during his Broadway tours and movies.
I actually sent him an email with the unabashedly cringy subject line, "Who tells your story?" and pitched him a book about how he learned to be an artist by focusing on his teachers, from his parents through his elementary school bus driver all the way to Andrew Lloyd Webber, and he said yes.
That email was sent in 2021, and over the course of the next several years, he learned from Miranda himself and more than 150 others close to him, and pulls back the curtain on what shaped Miranda's life.
He had an appetite for just soaking up lessons from everybody around him. His friends, his teachers call him a sponge. And he was able to synthesize all of these different influences from Latin music to hip hop to Broadway to pop and rock music into telling America's stories in a new way.
Publishers wanted a 300-page book. His first draft was double that.
I was so excited to put everything I knew into this book, and then I had to cut out half of it.
After several drafts and rewrites, the book Lin Manuel Miranda, The Education of an Artist, was released in early September.
It's a coming-of-age story about a guy who keeps coming of age and who keeps learning from his projects.
At Portland State University, Devin Haskins, KGW News.
We could talk more about going to the theater, but we also have to talk about the fog reports that we have out there this morning. Earlier, about an hour ago, it was definitely less foggy in Vancouver than it was down in Salem. I don't know if it's flipped at all.
That's flipped, actually. We showed you that shot at the beginning of the show, and you could see that the fog actually worsens as you're making your way across the interstate bridge into Oregon, into Portland right now.
Okay.
That is our number one story, to Drew's point, the fog advisory this morning. We've got the impact alert for reduced visibility up until 10 o'clock this morning. So obviously low visibility, slow down, extra space. You know the deal with fog. Some spots it's really bad, other spots it's like, nah, not so bad. Here's a visibility map. This has been really consistent. Not much fog on the east side, widespread fog on the west side. That's where it's been all morning. And again, a reminder, we're now getting back into fog season, 0.25, quarter-mile visibility. That's the definition for dense fog. Salem, not as foggy as what you had earlier this morning, some improving conditions, at least in some areas. My yellow lines indicate or highlight for you that the rain is moving east into Idaho, the rainy pattern we've had the last 4 days. These are clouds coming in overnight tonight and tomorrow that may bring a trace of rain, but for today, we're kind of in the middle. So once we get the fog out of here, we will be looking forward to a nice partly cloudy afternoon of temperatures warming well into the 60s. Here we are at noon, fog gone, partly cloudy skies, pretty nice. Here come the clouds increasing this evening, but your evening plans are dry. And then overnight and tomorrow morning, there may be some traces of rain around. Later in the day, the shower chance ends as we see partial clearing. And then we'll go on to see increased clearing, I think, tomorrow overnight. Your Sunday still looks to be really nice. Here's Sunday. Yeah, look at that. Really beautiful day coming up. Speaking of beautiful, moments ago I showed you one of our Timberline cameras looking south at Jefferson above the clouds. It was really pretty. This is our fresh snow over the last several days down to about 7,000 feet and even closer to 6,500 feet up on Mount Hood. Really pretty morning. And again, it's the first time we're seeing the fresh coating of some snow and the blue sky contrast, really, really pretty. 38 degrees up at the lodge. Past temperatures today will be back up to about 50 degrees. Let's go down to wine country. This is pretty socked in with fog and overcast, low cloudiness. Shalem Tasting Room in Sherwood, it's 48 degrees. One more wine country camera. This is kind of cool. This is Willamette Valley Vineyards in Turner, just south of Salem. They're up on a hill, and you can see the fog over the vineyard, but then you get some layering. You get some blue sky, a ribbon of some clouds, and some blue mix. So kind of cool shot there. All right, we're 53 in Portland, 49 in Salem, 48 in Bend. There's enough cloudiness across the east that nobody's really chilly this morning. 48 is the number in Burns. The impact alert until 10 o'clock. The fog will be gone, partly cloudy, 68 after that. Saturday, traces of rain, but really mainly dry, and then the clear skies Sunday. We have clear skies through Tuesday, still dry Wednesday. A shower threat opens up on Thursday, and that is your update. Here is Chris.
That's a good looking forecast next week. All right, let's get you out the door. We take you to one of the foggiest spots I could find. This is up near La Center, I-5 up near La Center. And again, the camera's up and elevated a little bit, but I think you get an idea that if you get up in elevation at all, you're running into and encountering some of that fog out there this morning. Again, that's live in the center. We'll bring you farther south. I think we've got to look at the drive rolling through North Portland behind door number 2. Yeah, there we go. I-5 southbound traffic starting to ride the brakes pretty hard from Columbia Boulevard down towards Lombard. Right now, it's about a 12-minute commute to get you from Main Street to the Fremont Bridge. Speaking of bridges, the Portland Marathon is this weekend. It's Sunday morning. As we mentioned, there's the outline of the 26.2-mile course. It crosses 3 Portland bridges. The most impactful, likely the Broadway Bridge. There's a full closure of the Broadway Bridge early on Sunday morning. There's also, of course, some TriMet Max lines impacted, and 20 bus routes are crossed by this course. So, Drew, there will be some light delays and detours for TriMet bus service until the race wraps up late Sunday morning, early Sunday afternoon. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Chris. Let's take a live look right now outside the New York courthouse where Sean Diddy Combs is scheduled for sentencing today. Combs is inside the courtroom right now. We're going to have the latest on his case and other national headlines when Sunrise continues in 2 minutes.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Welcome back. Israeli forces using water cannons against a flotilla that was carrying aid to Gaza earlier this week and then detained dozens of people. Paul Reed was part of that flotilla. He's also from Portland, and his mother says she does not know where he is right now. She also told us she's terrified by her son's situation, but understands why he wanted to help.
Their main concern and their main focus is the people of Gaza. And Paul has told us repeatedly, whatever I go through is nothing compared to what the Palestinians have gone through.
The flotilla included more than 40 boats and nearly 500 activists, including climate activist Greta Thunberg. Thunberg was also taken into custody this week. Here's a look at some national headlines now with your morning rush. Sean Diddy Combs is inside a New York City courtroom this hour, waiting for his sentencing after he was found guilty on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. This is a live look outside that New York City courthouse. Combs sent a letter to the judge yesterday saying that he was sincerely sorry for all the hurt and pain that he's caused. He faces up to 20 years in prison, 10 years for each conviction. 2 people are dead and 3 others were hurt seriously after an attack at a synagogue in Manchester, England during Yom Kippur. Police say a man drove into a crowd and stabbed worshipers before officers shot and killed him. The suspect was identified as a 35-year-old British citizen of Syrian descent. Police are calling it an act of terrorism, and they say that 1 victim may have also been hit by police gunfire. 3 other people have been arrested but not identified. All right, this next video comes from California. A massive fire broke out there yesterday at a Chevron refinery. No one was reported injured. It's not clear what caused the fire, but it's believed to have started in an isolation unit inside the refinery. Sarah Mullany has been named the new Archbishop of Canterbury, the first woman to hold that role. The 63-year-old was previously Bishop of London and once served as England's chief nursing officer. The Archbishop leads 85 million worldwide who preside over major royal events. And that's your morning rush. Day 3 of the government shutdown. So still ahead here on our next half hour, Sunrise reporter Corey Johnson with everything you need to know about how the shutdown could impact you. And some students in Oregon showing slight improvement in the classroom, but the latest results show that kids overall still struggling. We'll have more on that coming up.
KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
Coming up on 7:29 on your Friday morning drive. Not so bad out there on the roads just yet. Inbound Sunset up to about 17 minutes to get you from Hillsborough. That's not so bad. I-5 from Clark County, 13 minutes. Main Street to the Fremont Bridge. So that said, fog the issue this morning. And Rod, I know you're going to talk more about this. This is the live look right now up in La Center. There's your southbound I-5 commute. So certainly some fog pockets this morning.
Wow, Chris, thank you. My wife mentioned that her and my daughter drove back from Seattle literally in the middle of the night. And she said on I-5 it was foggy much of the drive, and Chris just showed you that center shot. Much better in downtown Portland along I-5 and the river. It's fine. You can see the cityscape, and you can tell by the fog kissing the downtown buildings that it's really a fog issue up in the West Hills. 53 is the number. This is far worse. This is Salem, and the Capitol is right here, but you can't see it. Temperatures in Salem in the upper 40s. So we have the impact alert up until 10 o'clock this morning for the reduced visibility, dense fog areas to be found. This goes on to be a nice day. Partly cloudy skies, 60 at noon, 68 degrees at 5 p.m.
Good morning. Check this out. For 3 days only, fans can step inside the world of Law & Order. NBC is opening up a pop-up Dun-Dun Cafe at Rockefeller Center, modeled after a classic detective diner. The experience starts today and runs through Sunday. Reservations are sold out, but you can still check it out at the exterior and soak in the vibe. I'm definitely going to look that up on social media to see what it looks like in there, because I have seen almost every episode of Law & Order.
That's cool. And the diner in Seinfeld, that's a real operating diner. Does anybody know? I'm just asking, because it made me think of it. It made me think of the diner in Seinfeld. It's in New York.
No soup for you.
But I don't know if it's real or not.
Three things that are guaranteed in life. Death, taxes, and Rod asking us a question that we have no idea the answer to.
I only ask because I want to know. Does anybody know? All right. Here we go.
You're on your own.
I'm on my own. I've been banished from the news desk. Good morning to you. We have our impact alert up until 10 o'clock this morning for the fog. The fog has been widespread and at its worst consistently over on the west side. That's Yamhill, Washington counties, also down into Salem and Marion County. Downtown Portland itself down low along the river, and there you can see the I-5 crawl, isn't bad, but clearly we've got pretty good fog up in the West Hills, and our Oregon Zoo live camera has been showing that up at 600 feet. 53 is the number. Temperatures are comfortable. I have not had any reports of mist, but whenever you get in dense fog, sometimes you get that, a little bit of drizzle, so don't be shocked if that's the case. 53 right now. By noon, the fog is over. The impact alert is over. It will be partly cloudy. Later today, a nice Friday, 68 to high. Here's Chris.
Rod, you go up in elevation, just a tiny bit up in the little center area, just a few hundred feet into the cloud deck, and there you go. You can see the southbound I-5 headlights there rolling through the fog in the center. That said, the drive out of Clark County, not too bad, and usually Friday mornings are a little lighter, or the commute starts later than Monday through Thursday, and that's holding true this morning. 12 minutes gets you in from Main Street to the Fremont Bridge. Quick check of the west side. Inbound Sunset, about 17 minutes or so from Hillsborough. Here's the live look right now as folks come down the hill from the zoo into the tunnel. Riding the brake a little bit there. But again, all of that pretty normal stuff. No major unexpected delays out there just yet. China.
Thank you, Chris. All right, your time now is 7:32. Here's a look at the scene outside the South Waterfront ICE facility last night. Last night, our crew saw law enforcement officials detaining 3 people after an apparent altercation, and Portland police announcing they arrested 3 people, including conservative influencer Nick Sorter, on disorderly conduct charges.
We're also just a few hours away at this point from a court hearing where a federal judge will rule on the state's request to stop the National Guard's deployment to Portland. KGW's Kyle Boshi explains why a new judge was appointed to hear this case.
Just hours before the state of Oregon heads to federal court, seeking a temporary restraining order to block the deployment of federal troops in Portland, the Trump administration filed a motion asking the judge to step aside. The Fed suggests Judge Michael Simon recuse himself from the case to avoid the appearance of partiality. Judge Simon is married to Representative Suzanne Bonamici.
We do not need and we do not want federal troops here in Oregon.
On Saturday, the Democratic congresswoman from Oregon spoke out against President Trump's deployment, ordering 200 members of the Oregon National Guard into federal service for 60 days.
This is a gross abuse of power by the president. He does not have the authority to send military troops to a city.
Lewis and Clark law professor Tong Yin explains judges often recuse themselves if there's an obvious conflict of interest, like stock ownership or a close relationship to a party. But asking a judge to step aside is a slippery slope.
It's kind of dangerous. You know the saying, you come at the king, you better not miss. If you file a recusal motion, you're basically laying out to the judge the idea that I don't think you can be fair.
Thursday afternoon, the case was reassigned to Judge Karen Immergut. For several months, a small group of demonstrators has gathered in front of the ICE facility in South Portland, leading to occasional clashes with federal agents protecting the building. Oregon's Attorney General filed a lawsuit and sought a restraining order trying to block Trump from deploying troops. At a hearing Friday, the state is expected to argue the deployment is unlawful. Oregon and Portland will suffer irreparable harm, and local police have the situation under control. Portland Police Chief Bob Day echoed that argument Monday.
I don't see the need for the National Guard at this time.
The Trump administration will likely counter that protesters have caused damage to the ICE facility, hurt agents protecting the building, and interfered with federal employees doing their work. Kyle Aboshi, KGW News.
And President Donald Trump appointed Judge Karen Immerget to the bench in the District of Oregon in 2019. Before that, she served as a judge on the Multnomah County Circuit Court for 10 years. And prior to that, she was U.S. Attorney for Oregon, appointed by President George W. Bush. The Trump administration has canceled nearly $8 billion in funding for clean energy projects. Oregon and Washington combined are losing more than $1 billion in federal funding. According to a list from the Office of Congresswoman Maxine Dexter, the cuts will impact the Oregon Department of Energy and energy projects from PGE. Another project feeling the cuts is the Pacific Northwest Hydrogen Hub, which is a public-private partnership to help the United States move away from fossil fuels. They say that they are losing out on $1 billion from the federal government.
So we are having to determine, can these projects still go forward? Do the economics work for these projects any longer? And it's unclear.
Washington state officials condemned the cut, saying it'll terminate more than $1 billion from the state's 11 federally funded energy projects. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson says they are working with an attorney to, quote, fight this illegal action.
We have an update this morning on student performance in Oregon classrooms.
Students have been struggling significantly since the pandemic, but there have been some recent improvement. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz has been digging into the data. So Thomas, what'd you find out?
Well, guys, the numbers are a little bit better than last year. Still, they're far away from being where the state wants them to be. The Oregon Department of Education found that 43% of students are proficient in English. That is a slight increase from a year ago. Oregon students have really struggled to bounce back after COVID shuttered many classrooms for more than a year. Oregon schools stayed closed longer than many other school districts, and students are recovering from lost learning at a slower rate than others around the country. In math, just 31.5% of Oregon kids are proficient. That is an improvement from a year ago, when just 31% of kids were proficient in math. But in both subjects, English and math, students are far behind where they were pre-pandemic. Still, some of the largest school districts in the state, like Portland Public, are seeing improvements after allocating a lot of resources to recovering lost learning.
Trying to do a lot of academic recovery. That's why we continue to provide summer acceleration programming and things like that for targeted students.
In the state's second biggest district, Salem-Keizer, English scores are up for many grade levels. In math, they've seen slight improvements too, but here's the big thing, guys. Salem-Keizer kids, just 20% of them are proficient in math. Across the state, about a third of kids are proficient in math. Reading scores are a little bit better, but still not anywhere near where state leaders or school leaders would like them to be. Drew, China.
Thomas, thank you. All right, your time now is 7:37. We're taking a live look from our Wells Fargo Skycam. Can't see a whole lot out there because it is foggy, so that's why we have a weather impact alert day here at KGW, lasting through the morning a little bit, but Rod Hill's going to walk you through when we can expect that to end.
Yeah, so we have the impact alert up until 10 o'clock this morning. I think once we get to 10, a couple things. Number one, the commute mostly over, so the impact is less simply because of that. And number two, we probably see the majority of the area with greatly improved visibility as the fog will start to lift out. Again, 10 o'clock this morning. Been working with Chris to get a good handle on this, and Chris is in the room. This looks far worse than it did 5 minutes ago. This is the Springs at the Waterfront Vancouver camera. The I-5 bridge is right here, and you can no longer see it. Now, what it had been showing is that the fog gets worse as you get into the Oregon side of the bridge, but then once you get through Jansen Beach and the Delta Park, the fog lifts somewhat and you get improved visibility. So it really depends on your exact location this morning, 52. But realize you could hit a snag where the visibility is so low that the traffic is really slowed. You have to have extra spacing to be safe, and it slows down your commute process. Here's out at the Reserve Beaners and Golf Club in Aloha. It's been the west side where the fog has been the most widespread throughout the morning hours. 53 degrees. That's absolutely dense fog below a quarter of a mile. And here's Camas Meadows Golf Course. The east side hasn't been as foggy, but you can see the fog is down into the trees, so there could be some developing worsening pockets over on the east side potentially right now. Troutdale's 52. Flip it to Hillsborough, 49. Go down to Wilsonville, where it's 52 degrees. Salem has been really foggy. We've only had glimpses at the state capitol this morning, for example, because of the fog. All right, here's Mia, our KGW Dog of the Day. Hello there. Dog of the Day at kgw.com is email address. Send us your dog's photo and their name, and your dog will become our Dog of the Day. After the fog, the impact alert up and through 10 a.m. Then this afternoon, partly cloudy, 68. Really nice. This evening, really nice. Clouds overnight and tomorrow, could be a trace of rain around. Later in the day, Saturday, we start to clear out of that. Sunday still looks great and a sunny start to next week. Here is Chris McGinnis. I don't know if you saw it, Chris, the Vancouver camera. You can't see the I-5 bridge at all now over the Columbia River.
Well, the camera's up a little bit in that cloud deck, right? Yeah. But same story here with Columbia Boulevard. You can see that fog kind of moving around a little bit. Traffic seems to be slipping through it okay. We've got some slowing there, but I would estimate this is about a half-mile visibility or so in North Portland. So to Rod's point, it is moving around. In some cases, it's thicker than others. Right now, your drive in from Main Street to the Fremont Bridge, not bad, about 12 minutes or so to make that commute. We do have, what looked like an earlier fender bender on the inbound Sunset, just past Sylvan. I can't see it on camera here, but we are a little slow on Highway 26 there as well. Right now, your drive in from Brookwood Parkway up to 21 minutes at last check. Drew, China?
Thank you, Chris. Day 3 of a government shutdown and still no end in sight. Still to come on Sunrise, Corey Johnson joins us live with a look at some of the local impacts. Sunrise streaming live at 7 continues right after this.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
Senators are expected to vote again today to end the government shutdown, which is now in its third day. Now, the vote is expected today, but a resolution is not.
Now, furloughed federal employees are concerned about their jobs and paychecks. NBC's Bianca Ficini has the latest from Washington, D.C.
There you go. And then we put it in the bank. The government shutdown has families across the country bracing for the worst.
We're kind of getting used to uncertainty.
And as federal workers wait for updates, they're feeling frustrated.
What we really want to do is to be at work. We're feeling angry at being treated as political pawns.
It's unclear if Democrats and Republicans have made any progress in negotiations. The Senate is scheduled to vote again today, but the measures aren't expected to pass. In the meantime, the Trump administration is planning on layoffs.
Look, it's likely going to be in the thousands.
President Trump met with Budget Director Russ Vought on Thursday. In a post online, he said the two would discuss which Democrat agencies Vought recommended be cut. Democrats say the president is using the shutdown to target them.
The American people are crystal clear on who shut down the government.
crystal clear. They know it was Donald Trump and Republicans for a wide variety of reasons.
It's a government shutdown.
Meanwhile, Republican Senate Leader John Thune says negotiations over health care, the sticking point for Democrats, can start only once the government opens up again.
I don't think you can keep this hostage. As soon as they release the hostage, then we can talk about those other issues.
Neither side showing signs of backing down, with no breakthrough in sight. So far, hundreds of thousands of workers have been furloughed, which means they will not see any pay until the government reopens. In Washington, Bianca Fascini, NBC News.
While lawmakers debate in D.C., a lot of people are wondering what's still open and what all this means for day-to-day services and financial transactions.
Sunrise reporter Corey Johnson joins us live with what you need to know. Corey.
Well, Drew, China, federal shutdowns don't stop everything, but they can slow things down. I reached out to agencies that have offices here locally to see exactly what's still running. Now, TSA tells me about 61,000 of its 64,000 employees are considered essential and still working. The rest are furloughed. At PDX, U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents are also essential, so flights are moving normally for now. But Port of Portland officials reminded me that in previous lengthy shutdowns, TSA callouts led to long checkpoint lines. I also reached out to the Social Security Administration. They tell me that you can still come to their offices here in Portland or in Southwest Washington, but their services are limited currently. Right now, they can't provide proof of benefits letters or make any updates to earnings records. The Better Business Bureau says now is the time to double check any major financial transactions tied to the government, like loans, payments, or refunds.
Making sure that you understand any kind of refunds that could apply if there was a delay, if there's an interruption, maybe there's a cancellation with a big flight or a delay with getting a car loan. Just keeping those lines of communication open are really going to help you know what to expect as far as the adjusted timeline if any part of that is impacted by the government shutdown.
Now, in 2019, a 35-day partial shutdown cost the U.S. economy about $11 billion. Now, financial experts say the longer the shutdown lasts, the more consumers are likely to feel it. Drew, China.
Corey, thank you. Meantime, U.S. Forest Services is one of the many sectors feeling the impacts of the shutdown. Currently, more than 12,000 of the agency employees are expected to be furloughed. Our sister station in Seattle spoke with a wildland firefighter who wished to remain anonymous, and he said that his agency's shutdown plan that was rolled out in September freezes activity on more than 193 million acres nationwide, including at least 154 national forests. While the Forest Service will continue responding to wildfires, it's scaling back some fire prevention work.
It's not so much about us, it's about what does it say about the state of our country that this is the situation we're in.
The Forest Service has already faced major budget cuts and layoffs this year as part of the Trump administration's federal reorganization, which officials say is meant to save taxpayers money.
All right, it is a weather impact alert morning here on the Sunrise Show. You ask why? We say fog. Foggy start to the day, but it won't stay that way for very long.
Yeah, we got the impact until 10. A couple of reasons for that. Number one, the commute's mostly over, and part of this impact alert is the impact. So if everybody's already where they're at, there's no impact. And then number two, and perhaps more notable, is the fact that I think the visibility, maybe not all areas of the valley, but most of the valley, the visibility should be markedly improved by about 10 o'clock this morning. Low visibility, slow down, extra space, the impact alert up. The fog has been most widespread here on the west side. Now this map changes, it updates throughout the hour. A lot of our maps only update hourly, but this one updates at least every 15 minutes. And you see Hillsborough was a quarter of a mile, now it's 1.75. The shading is almost gone. So this is rapid improving conditions, if this is correct, coming down the Sunset Highway. But look at the double zeros down in McMinnville. That means you cannot see. That is absolutely dense visibility. Visibility in downtown Portland hasn't been bad. Visibility in Salem has been really bad at times. The map at McNary Field shows 4 miles. The rain pattern we've been in for the last 4 days, still producing some shower activity in southern and southeastern Oregon, but most of the rain today is going to be over into Idaho. And after we lose the fog here in the valley, we'll go on to be partly cloudy and quite pleasant this afternoon. This is noon today. And then if you're out and about this evening, we'll stay dry, but you'll notice clouds starting to increase. And then eventually overnight, there could be some traces of rain and traces of rain potentially tomorrow morning with that cloud deck passing. Eventually that gets out. We'll see partial clearing later in the day Saturday, and that will actually take us into a beautiful clear blue sky Sunday. That's still expected, a gorgeous Sunday. All right, Chinook Winds Casino Resort in Lincoln City. Have not seen fog here all morning for the most part. We have seen fog down in Newport. Another camera, oh boy, this is pretty. This is Timberline. This is one of our 2 live cameras looking out over the fog and low cloud deck at Jefferson, and then the clear skies up top. It's been in the 30s this morning. 37 is the number. Here's the Salem sky camera, and the Capitol building is right in here. So that's how bad the fog is at that particular location in downtown Salem over the Capitol Mall area. Here's the Pioneer Park building looking out over the square. So you can see the low clouds, but at ground level coming into Portland, been fine all morning. Foggy up in the West Hills, FYI. All right. Portland's at 53, Salem 49, the Dow's 55. We have light winds and enough cloudiness out east that it's about the same, 47 in John Day and 47 in Baker City. So again, the alert expires at 10 o'clock this morning, and then we'll be partly cloudy becoming and get up to about 67 this afternoon. Statewide, it's mostly in the 60s. Again, the only shower threat is mainly over in southeastern Oregon. Here's the 7-day. Gets you into your weekend. Tomorrow still looks to be mainly dry with cloudiness in the morning, traces of rain maybe, partial clearing later in the day, the clear sky Sunday, and the really nice stretch of weather Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Here's Chris.
Rod, thanks for that. We pick it up in downtown. Actually, earlier fender bender on the Ram from I-5 south to the Morrison Bridge. We had some slowing around that literally just a minute or two ago. Looks like that has cleared out. So with that in mind, the drive times are not in too bad a shape, creeping upwards a little bit out of Clark County. 16 minutes now, you're southbound I-5 drive, Main Street to the Fremont Bridge. The Sunset coming in from Hillsborough, taking you about 23 minutes. We had an earlier fender bender near the zoo. That's out of the way. So we're not doing so bad out there on the roads. Hey, a reminder that the Portland Marathon is this Sunday morning. We're tracing the course here through all the dozens of neighborhoods. A reminder that it crosses 3 bridges, the Burnside, the Broadway, and the westbound Selwood Bridge. Westbound Selwood Bridge will actually be closed for quite a while. The Broadway Bridge will have a full closure for a few hours on Sunday morning. So be aware of that if you're heading in anywhere in and around downtown this weekend, Sunday morning. We got the marathon, always the first Sunday in October. Back to you, Drew.
All right, thank you, Chris.
I'm sorry, I had a rough morning. I had to punch a student in the face.
A teacher in Seattle is getting sued for allegedly punching a 13-year-old student in the face 6 years ago. The details in this case coming up in 2 minutes.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yeah.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
I'm sorry, I had a rough morning. I had to punch a student in the face.
That recording is now at the forefront of a lawsuit against Seattle Public Schools. A former middle school math teacher is accused of punching a student 6 years ago.
The student was 13 at the time, and the lawsuit says the teacher confronted him about violating the school's backpack policy. Court documents say the teacher got in his face and used racial slurs, and the student pushed him away. That's when the student claims the teacher punched him in the face twice, pushed him and shook him, and banged his head on a table. An audio recording from the next class period captured the teacher describing what happened.
Well, if you put your hands on me, I'm gonna kill you. If you put your hands on me, they may have to surgically remove my foot from your posterior.
The student was suspended for 15 days. The teacher got a 5-day suspension, and a year later was transferred to another school in the district. The lawsuit also claims that the district was warned about this teacher's dangerous behavior for nearly a decade before this happened.
Sonoma County is set to receive nearly $5 million over the next 9 years from a settlement between Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family. The settlement stems over a lawsuit from the toll of a prescription painkiller, Oxycontin. The money will fund addiction prevention and recovery programs. Leaders say that they will invest every dollar in life-saving services from treatment beds and recovery support to naloxone distribution and public awareness campaigns.
Kaiser Permanente is talking cold and flu season, saying that this year could be especially rough for kids in preschool and kindergarten. Those kids were born during the first years of the COVID pandemic, and because of widespread safety measures at the time, like masks and social distancing, those pandemic babies weren't exposed to some common pathogens. That means they're catching colds and respiratory viruses now that they have missed when they were younger. Kaiser recommends that young children get both a flu shot and a COVID shot. All right, coming up in the 8 o'clock hour Sunrise, we'll have the latest on Oregon's lawsuit against the Trump administration aimed at blocking the deployment of the National Guard to Portland. We're going to let you know why the judge overseeing today's hearing was replaced. Also next hour.
Taylor Swift drops her 12th studio album. We dive into the new music, the hype around its release, and what Swifties are saying about it at 8:45.